Today we're going to be doing Chapter 2's review. I'm going to do part of the questions in the packet that I gave you. This is from your textbook on page 124. I'm going to skip around a little bit. I'm going to do some of the problems and leave some of them for us to do together with partners in class on Monday. So evaluate each sum or difference. So we have to know our integer rules here, as you can see in number 1. -6 plus 14. Different sign, subtract. So 14 take away 6 is 8. Take the sign of the larger absolute value number. So yes, it is positive 8. You don't have to use the positive sign. It doesn't have to be there. Number 2. Same signs, add and keep. So I see -25 plus -9. I'm going to add those numbers together, and it gives me 34. Keep the sign, -34. Number 3, 52 and -52. 52 and -52, those are additive inverses, or opposites. Opposites, when you sum them, equals 0. I'm going to skip down to number 6. This is my first subtraction problem. 35 take away 140. In subtraction, we're going to change that to keep the first integer, add the opposite of the second integer. That was a positive 140. Now it's a negative 140. Different sign, subtract. So 140 take away 35 gives me 105. So my answer is -105. Number 9, -8 minus -50. Keep -8, add the opposite. And I know some of you say keep, change, which you can also use that. Now I see positive 50 and -8, different signs, subtract. 50 take away 8 is 42. And I'm going to take the sign of the larger absolute value. The answer is positive 42. I'm going to skip to number 11. We're going to be doing some mixed number and fraction adding and subtracting. And this is a mixed number problem. 14 2/3 minus 8 4/5. We know that when we subtract mixed numbers, we have to have a common denominator. 14 2/3 is the larger absolute value number. So I'm going to put that on top. Minus 8 4/5. Common denominator is 15ths. So 5 times 3 is 15. 4 times 3 makes 12. So I have 8 and 12/15ths being taken away from 14 and 10/15ths. 10/15ths take away 12/15ths. I'm going to have to borrow there because 10 take away 12. 10 is smaller. I'm going to need a larger absolute value number on the top. I'm going to borrow from my 14, which gives me whole number 13. I'm going to add 15/15ths to my already 10/15ths. That's what my 1 looks like that I borrowed from 14. My 1 comes over here as the 15/15ths fraction. So when I add 10/15ths and 15/15ths, I get 25/15ths. Don't forget my whole number 13 there, taking away, and I'm going to move my problem over and line up so that I don't make any mistakes. 13 and 25/15ths take away 8 and 12/15ths. 25 take away 12. 13/15ths. 13 take away 8. 5. Take the sign of the larger absolute value. 14 is larger absolute value, so that number is perfectly fine. 5 and 13/15ths. Number 13. Now we've got multiplication, product or quotient, multiplying and dividing. -5 times 11. When I have one negative in my product, my answer is going to be negative. So that's -55. Number 14. 2 negatives in my product is going to give me a positive answer. 30 times 4. 3 times 4 is 12. Bring along that 0. So positive 120. Number 16 is a division problem. 2 negatives in my quotient here is going to give me an answer of positive 16. Number 17, 1 negative in my quotient. It's going to give me a negative answer. And 9 goes into 12 once. That's -14 is the answer there. So on to the next page. Again, we're going to do some of these in class together, so I am skipping around. Number 19. Evaluate each product or quotient, same direction that we had before. When we multiply our fractions, we're going to cross-cancel common factors. 5 does go into 15 3 times. So I get 1 times 1/3, and it is negative 1 times 1/3. I have one negative in my product, so my answer is going to be negative 1/3. Number 20, I have 2 negative rationals being multiplied, so I'm going to get a positive. When I multiply those 2 negatives, my answer is going to be positive, and I have to multiply that rational number as an improper fraction. So 3/4 times 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 makes 5/3, and they're both negative. My answer is going to be a positive. Oh, and I can cross cancel those 3's, and I get positive 5/4, which I'm going to put into lowest terms. 4 goes into 5 one time with 1 left over, 1 and 1/4. Number 22. Got to change both of my mixed numbers to improper fractions. I get 24/5, negative 24/5, times, because I am going to change it to multiplication. This is 4/3 as an improper fraction, 1 and 1/3. Keep it, change it, flip it. I'm going to multiply by the multiplicative inverse here. So 4 and 24 have 4 in common. So I get 6 times 3 is 18. And 5 times 1 is 5, making that improper fraction to a proper mixed number. I get 3 and 3/5. And yes, my answer is negative. Always make sure you go back and check. And I see 1 negative here in my original problem, so my quotient, my answer is going to be negative. Negative 3 and 3/5. 23 is an interesting looking problem. It is a division problem. It could have been written with the old-fashioned division symbol there. It could have been written like this. The fraction bar, remember, means division. So my problem is negative 2/5 divided by negative 8/15. Keep it, change it, flip it. I'm going to keep the first fraction, change the problem to multiplying by the multiplicative inverse, which is 15/8. 2 and 8 do have a 2 in common. 5 and 15 also have a 5 in common. So when I multiply that, I get 1 times 3 and 1 times 4. I get 3/4. Negative times a negative will give me a positive 3/4 as my answer there. Skipping down to order of operations problem here. Order of operations. So I'm probably going to make a little note to myself that I need to follow the order of operations that I've learned so far. And yes, multiply and divide left to right. That's what those arrows mean. So looking at number 26, I'm going to do number 26. I've got a parentheses. I've got parentheses, divide, add, multiply. So I have several operations happening here. Parentheses is going to go first. So 25 and 7/10 plus whole number 4. Well, that whole number 4 is going to be added to the whole number 25, and I get 29 and 7/10. Divided by, I'm going to bring down everything I have not done so far. I've not done the division, I haven't done the adding, and I haven't done the multiplying. So scanning across my problem, I have divide, add, and multiply. Left to right, I'm going to do this division next. That division is going to come next. So coming off to the side here, 29 and 7/10 divided by whole number 3, so no moving decimal points. Put it right up into your quotient. So 3 goes into 29 9 times. That gives me 27. When I subtract, I get to bring down the 7, 27. So I get the answer 9 and 9/10. And adding to it 8/10 times 2. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do that because I know that multiply is going to be next. 8 times 2 is 16, but it is 8/10 times 2. 1 decimal in my product gives me 1 decimal in my answer. So I have 9 and 9/10 plus 1 and 6/10. And when we add decimals, we line up our decimal points. 9 and 6 is 15, carry that 1. And I have 1 plus 9 plus 1 more makes 11. Write down that decimal point. 11 and 5/10. So that very long expression there with several operations combines and simplifies to 11 and 5/10. Going on to the next page, we're going to do some word problems together. And I'm going to skip down to number 32. Tim dug a hole that was 16.5 inches deep. So I might draw a little picture here. Here's Tim's hole. And it's 16.5 inches deep. So it went down by 16.5 inches. He left a pile of dirt next to the hole, which usually happens when you dig it out. You throw all the dirt up on top over here. It was now 8 3/4 inches. I want to draw that to scale. 8 3/4 inches high. He's taking a shovel, digging it out, and throwing it up over here. So 8 3/4 inches high is where the dirt is sitting next to it. Show how you could use subtraction to find the distance from the top of the pile of the dirt. Oh, well, that's 8 3/4 inches up to the bottom of the hole. The distance, well, use subtraction to go from the top to the bottom. Well, the hole is below ground, so it's a negative 16.5. Show how you could use subtract. That's how I could use subtraction. And I know from subtracting with rational numbers, I have to change that to add the opposite. So to get this answer, I am going to actually add those, 8 3/4 and 16.5. I'm going to change 16.5 to, because the common denominator is 4, 2/4. So I have 8 3/4 plus 16 2/4. I get 5/4. 8 plus 16 is 24. Well, 5/4 is improper. That's equivalent to 1 1/4. I'm going to add that 1 to my whole number 24 that I already have, which gives me 25 1/4 inches. So show how you could use subtraction to find the distance from the top of the pile of the dirt to the bottom. So I'm going to answer this in a full sentence answer. The distance is 25 1/4 inches. Let's do number 34. A hiker descended 320 feet in 40 minutes. So he's going down a mountain, for instance. Descended. Find the hiker's average change in elevation per minute. Oh, this is a rate question. Elevation per minute. How is he going down feet per minute? That's what it's asking me. So I'm going to take my 320 and divide, because per means divide, minute by my minutes. Well, this is an easy question because they both end in 0. I just divided both by 10. So 32 divided by 4, that's 8. So he's descending 8 feet per minute. Find the hiker's average change in elevation per minute. The hiker is descending 8 feet per minute. A hiker is descending 8 feet per minute. And that's it for today. When we come in tomorrow, we're going to work on some of those other problems that you see there in the packet and be ready to review.